This is Hollywood Connections under Don Meese. And this is Deidre. You're listening to Chat with Deidre, a beauty queen reporter special. I'm Miss Florida Reporter Lifetime. And tonight I have a special guest. He is a former Marine, a lawyer, actor, writer, producer, Scott Pryor. Thank you so much for being on this interview with me tonight. How are you doing?
Good. How are you, Deidre?
I'm good. I actually met you at the International Christian Film and Music Festival in Orlando. I don't know if you remember me, but I actually auditioned as an actor, and you were in the room, and I actually thought I did a terrible audition, but then I saw you later, and you actually said, "Oh, good job," and I was like, "Oh, wow, thank you so much." So how was that experience for you?
Oh, that was great. It was great coming down there and being able to watch everybody come out and act and get some tips, and it was a great convention.
Right, awesome. So you're a U.S. Marine veteran, a trial lawyer, a writer, actor, producer, director, so you wear many different hats. How do you step into each position of your life?
I'm sorry, repeat that question.
How do you step into each position in your life? Like, how did you know you wanted to do these different things?
Well, that's a great question. Well, it started with, I love adventure, so I actually watched Full Metal Jacket as a little kid with my dad, and watching that movie, it made me want to join the Marine Corps, and I had a couple, a principal and a PE teacher that were also Marines, and so I joined the Marine Corps at 17, and from there, I went in the reserves, and then I went to for my education, and then ended up going into law because I like fighting for people, and what I do for a living is basically fight for people who've been hurt or killed through the negligence of others, and fighting's in my blood. So along those lines, I like to take the stories of my clients and the success of us telling their stories in the courtroom, and work those into inspirational films. And so it's been kind of one profession feeds the other, so to speak. And
right.
that's just the path that God's brought me on.
That's really cool. So you've been able to, step into these positions and help a lot of people, and now you're doing movies that are inspiring people. And I just watched your latest movie, Tulsa. Can you tell us about Tulsa and how that movie came about?
Sure, absolutely. So Tulsa is the story of a young girl, and Tommy Colson's her long-lost father, and Tommy didn't know he had a daughter. And we start the movie with Tommy, and he's in a rut. He's stuck in life, and he's really just hanging on the edge of existence and really not wanting to exist anymore. And his friend calls him and says, "Hey, I have your daughter." And Tommy didn't know he has a daughter, isn't ready to be a father, or certainly isn't fit to be a father. And this little girl named Tulsa, who's a powerful force, interjects herself into his life. And there's a lot of comedy because they fight with each other at first. There's a lot of friction, but they end up fighting for each other. So it's a story of hope and inspiration and love, and it's a very, very powerful film, powerful story, and God willing, it's changing a lot of lives. So how it was brought about is I was actually working on a case where I was representing a young girl who had suffered some tragedy, and I was discussing the case with the family, and I was preparing for trial, and I talked to the father and the family, and I said, "How has this affected your life, this injury with your daughter? I mean, obviously you have medical bills, there's pain and suffering, but how has this affected your life on a human level, on a heart level?" And I remember the father telling me, we used to go to the daddy-daughter dance, and we'd dance the whole night through, and after the injury, we could only go for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'd have to leave, and that was so impactful. And I remember we had just shot our second film, which was called Black Bear, and I was actually writing another script, and I was flying back from LA, and it just came to me on the airplane that I was preparing for the trial, and that conversation just kind of inspired us to write Tulsa.
That's awesome. And I remember seeing at the end that you dedicated to your sister's name is Tulsa. So did she have some inspiration also?
She does. My sister, if you ever met her, you would walk away saying, that is probably the nicest, sweetest, most genuine, caring person I've ever met in my life, and that is my sister. Now, growing up, I was kind of a pain in the butt brother, for sure. And so this is my way of giving back to her, I guess. But she's always had my back, and she's always just been a great person. She's always helping other people at the sacrifice of herself. And so I just dedicated the film to her because I thought it was appropriate.
That's really cool. I'm sure she's happy to see her name, and you know her brother made a movie titled after her name. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So, what are some of? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say I didn't tell her about the dedication, and I let her watch an earlier cut of the film. And when she read it, she cried, and she's like, "I don't deserve that." I'm like, "Oh, yes, you do." Just a sweet, sweet person.
That's really cool. So, what are some of the blessings and some of the challenges of filmmaking? I got to see your YouTube channel for Pryor Entertainment and the behind the scenes of Tulsa and how that was created. So, and I liked watching what the other crew members did and all those things. And so there's a lot that happens behind the scenes. So what are some of the blessings and the challenges of filmmaking?
Whew, that's a really good question. And yeah, we spliced a bunch of the behind the scenes of what the different crew members were. So anyone listening, go ahead and go to Pryor Entertainment and check out the YouTube channel, and you get to see the different some of the different scenes and the way we shot, and a lot of if you're a filmmaker, you're going to get a good education. But the challenges of filmmaking and the rewards, the reward is always to help people. That's why we make films. That's why we create films, is to help as many people as we can. That's our goal. That's our why. We want to inspire, educate, and entertain. And there's many, many challenges. Typically, the two main challenges are time and money. So we shot Tulsa in 20 days, which is flying, to say the least. And, we only have so many shoot days, and we have a very small budget. Now, most people who watch the film have no idea what we shot the film for, but we've got a bunch of creative people who come together, and it's a passion project for them. And so that's also a blessing. It's just kind of becoming family on these films, and life, you develop lifelong friends. The challenges are definitely time and money, and you're working very, very long hours, and there can definitely be some friction among some of the leadership. Not always, but sometimes that can happen, but definitely the time and resources, and then you have to be able to pivot because unexpected things always come up. Things don't always work out as you plan, but you just have to definitely trust God and know that He will work it out. And it can be stressful at times, but it's extremely rewarding, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's wonderful to have the opportunity to create with just great people, and we've had a great team and a great leadership team to help implement and create. So.
Right, that's really good to have a strong team that you're around for, that many hours. And Tulsa, you got to have John Schneider in your movie. Was he someone that you really wanted to work with?
Absolutely. I saw John in his TV shows, and as a little kid, I remember watching him, and it was surreal, and it was a bucket list item for sure. And we actually got in a little bit of trouble. I picked him up from the airport, and he got me out a speeding ticket. And then I'm a big car guy, and I have some muscle cars. And we were shooting all night with John, and I had one of my muscle cars on set. And I said we ate, and I said, hey, let's go have some fun. And so he did some stunts, and then I said it's my turn to drive, and he was not really excited about riding with me doing any. Well, I don't know if I would call it stunts, but having a lot of fun, and anyhow, they actually called the police. The locals kind of called the police, and they were looking for this car, and we parked and went back inside, and we didn't get in trouble, but the police were definitely looking for us. But it was fun.
That is so fun. I can't imagine meeting one of my favorite actors and having the best time and almost getting arrested with an actor.
It was surreal, and John and I text from time to time. He reached out to me on a couple things, and I try to stay in touch. I don't blow his phone up or anything, but he's just a great guy to work with. Big heart. And I can't say enough about him, and we really, really enjoyed our time together. And we have we posted on our social media when I got pulled over. John was talking the police out of giving me a ticket, and so it's kind of humorous. But you'll have to go out there and check it out.
That's really cool. So, is there anyone else you'd like to work with in the future, or someone you?
That list is crazy long. There's a ton of people I'd love to work with, a ton of people. But I would say Mark Wahlberg, Mel Gibson, Tom Hardy, Christian Bale. There's a ton of people I'd love to work with.
That's cool. And it's cool that you write your own films and you star in your own films. That's awesome. That's something I'd like to do one day. I do a lot of writing, and I grew up writing plays and having my friends act out things like that. So how do you start the writing process of your films?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So I'm a stickler on story. If you don't have a great story, you will not have a great film. You can never make a great film out of a good story. So story is key.
Yeah.
And you have to spend a lot of time developing the story. There's 2 books I recommend. One is Story by Robert McKee, and it's kind of the Bible of writing. And there's another one called Save the Cat, and that's kind of a breakdown of if you want to write a script. So I follow Save the Cat loosely, but implement the elements of Story by Robert McKee. But I like to start a story with what's the grand finale? What's the pinnacle of the story? And then kind of work backwards from there. I need to know. I don't like stories that are predictable. So if you've watched any of my films, usually they turn left and right, and there's a gap in expectation. And that's important for me. I need to know what's going to be the twist, and I kind of start there and then build backwards and onto that. Definitely onto a framework, but we really, really outline the story and develop around characters and dialogue and work really, really hard to tell a great story. So it's a lot of preparation. It's a lot of thinking through and getting good constructive feedback from the right people. Not everybody's opinion is weighted equally, for sure.
Right. So I did watch The List and Black Bear. They're on Tubi TV. So if you want to go see The List and Black Bear, you can watch them for free on Tubi TV. And those are 2 very different films. I really like The List of this character. It's like him finding himself, and it's really, really good. And then I love Black Bear and all the action and the boxing. That was so cool. So what was the best part of making those 2 films?
Ooh, the most fun. So the list was cool because it was our very first film that we made, and again, we shot it in 21 days. And it was just a blast because it was so new, and you almost like pinch yourself. Like, are we really doing this? And there was a lot of I had a lot of anxiety because I was taking on a very big, serious role, and I was wearing so many hats, producing, being the writer and all that. I didn't direct the list, but it was a lot to take on for our first project, and I was extremely intimidated. And going into it, my nerves were just shot, but I won't quit. I'll just, you take that step of faith and pierce that veil of fear. And so at the end, it was great to have a project, and it won a bunch of awards, and we got distribution all over the world. And we still get people who reach out to us where the movies help them, and they love it. So that was a lot of fun. Black Bear, I have a background in like wrestling and martial arts and the Marines, and so I fought the martial arts and wrestled at a high level. So I love fight films. I love fight montages, and so that was kind of my dream, to do a fight film. But I wanted to do a fight film, but have some pretty serious drama, kind of like a Greek tragedy mixed with a fight film, and that's how I describe Black Bear. And just it was fun getting to do the stunts and the fights, but it's also pretty taxing and grueling. We had some real UFC fighters, and it was fun, sparring with them and just working out the fights and the choreography on that. But again, great cast, great crew, great leadership. Just kind of different experience in understanding the real life fighting versus Hollywood acting fighting is so different, and so you have to learn to really exaggerate your punches and perform for the camera as opposed to just brawling it out.
Right. Well, that's really cool. So your production company, you changed it to Pryor Entertainment. You work closely with like your wife, and your sons are in your movies. So what is it like to work with your family on this?
Well, my wife, we've been together for, since we were in college. So we work very, very well together. She helps me run the law practice. She's kind of my secret sauce. And our skill sets are very, very different, and we're very different personality-wise. So we really complement each other, and we kind of know how each other thinks. And so it's very beneficial in making the films. My sons, I think they enjoyed being in the list, but only my youngest one is remotely interested in acting. So we'll see. He's definitely a performer. He's a great athlete, but we'll see. I don't push them in one direction or the other. But my middle son has a huge following on TikTok, and so it's Pryor Gaming, and he's a big Minecraft guy. So he's got over 1 million followers, and he posts these really cool videos that most of the time I don't understand.
That's cool. Yeah, TikTok is its own world.
Oh yeah, a world that I don't venture into.
Right. So do you have any advice for aspiring filmmakers?
Absolutely. Take your iPhone out and go create. Like, you have to start developing content. Don't wait until everything's perfect. You've got to start telling stories. If you want to be a filmmaker, you have to start telling stories. You've got to start creating. And then that's how you're going to hone your skills. And so go out there and shoot, even if it's a small project. Get your friends together. I would also say volunteer as a production assistant. Try to get on a movie or film set. Work for free, but work very hard. And you'll establish a reputation, and you will be noticed. And you'll be asked to be on other projects. It happens with us a number of times. And if you get on a film project, say if you get on our film project, and you don't work hard, you will be asked to leave. But if you do work hard, you will be recognized and, do what it takes. And we've had several people come in as interns, and then they've gotten invited to a lot of other projects. So work very hard, but get in there and learn the craft.
All right. That's really, really good advice. So what's the best advice that someone has given you that's helped you in the different places of your life?
Ooh. Best advice at different places in my life. As an actor, a friend of mine went to the actor studio in New York, and he told me when I approach a role, he's like, have an opinion about the role and about the work. He said, have your own opinion. Now, you can always adjust it with the director, but have an opinion on the work on as you're developing a character. You got to make choices, obviously. So that's as an actor. In terms of life, I would say one of the biggest things that I've learned and is just learning that God has a purpose for your life, and really leaning into that and trusting that, and praying fervently that God will reveal and kind of open the path that He has for you. And you look to your passions. Look what you're passionate about, but at the intersection of what you're also really good at. So when those two things cross, you really delve into that. What's something that God has put on your heart that you just kind of can't shake? You wake up with it, you go to bed with it, and it may not be the job you're in or the career you're in or the path you're on, but what is it that just is kind of on a burden on your heart? What is it you would do for free? And not have to take a paycheck for it. Now, sometimes you're going to have to work a job or two or three or four in order to fuel that passion, but figure out what God's purpose is for your life, and again, look to your passions, because that's how God wired us.
Awesome. You know what? Thank you, Scott. That was such awesome advice. We all need to definitely look to God for what He wants us to do, because He created us. He has a plan for us, and it's awesome to see people living out their passion and to live out what God is wanting them to do, because we can all see that. We see the fruit of their labor. So I see the fruit of your labor. I'm so thankful that you did this interview with me tonight, and we'll definitely go check out your other projects that you have coming up. We do have to go, but really quickly, can you give us the website to check out your other projects?
Sure, absolutely. If you go to my social media, it's official Scott Pryor, and Pryor spelled Pryor, and you can follow me on different social media platforms. And then our film company is called Pryor Entertainment, and so you can channel and like us, join us, all that stuff, and we'll post about our future projects.
All right, thank you so much. Have a good rest of your night.